Do you believe in ghosts? I do. I know this isn't a story about jump scares and gore, but let me warn you, some things are better left undisturbed. Let me tell you the story of a house on Briarwood Lane and the children who live there. It all started when David and Chloe moved into their dream house on Briarwood Lane. For their two children, 7-year-old Leo and 5-year-old Mia, it was perfect. A charming, if slightly run-down, 2-story house with a sprawling backyard in a quiet, family-friendly cul-de-sac. It was an estate sale. The previous owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Gable, having passed away peacefully in her sleep. The price was right, and the potential was undeniable. They envisioned summer barbecues, tree houses, and laughter echoing through its rooms. The children were ecstatic. Leo immediately claimed the larger of the 2 upstairs bedrooms, while Mia, quieter and more imaginative, was drawn to the smaller room overlooking the overgrown rose garden. The first few days were filled with the chaotic joy of moving. Boxes littered every room, and the scent of pizza and fresh paint mingled in the air. It was Mia who first mentioned the other children. "Mommy," she said one afternoon, while Chloe was unpacking kitchen supplies, "the children in my room want to play hide and seek." Chloe smiled, ruffling Mia's hair. "Oh, you've made new friends already? That's wonderful, sweetie. What are their names?" Mia tilted her head. "They don't say their names. They just giggle, and they like to hide in the closet." Chloe attributed it to Mia's vivid imagination, a common coping mechanism for children adjusting to a new environment. Leo, more pragmatic like his father, reported no such playmates. But Mia's interactions with her unseen friends continued. She'd often be found in her room, whispering and laughing, seemingly engaged in one-sided conversations. Sometimes Chloe would hear faint, childlike giggles drifting from Mia's room when she knew Mia was downstairs with her. She'd peek in, only to find the room empty, a toy rocking gently on the floor, or a doll propped up in a different position. As time went on, the incidents became more unsettling. Toys would disappear from Mia's room, only to reappear in strange places. One of her dolls was found perched atop the tall grandfather clock in the hallway, another tucked inside the oven. Thankfully, it was off. Small, muddy handprints, too tiny to be Leo's or Mia's, would appear on freshly cleaned windows. One evening, as Chloe was tucking Mia into bed, Mia pointed to the shadowy corner of her room. "They're sad tonight," she whispered. "They miss their mommy." A chill traced Chloe's spine. "Who, sweetie? Who misses their mummy?" "The children in the walls," Mia said, her eyes wide and serious. The phrase, "children in the walls," unnerved Chloe deeply. She started paying more attention to the subtle sounds of the old house, the creaks, the groans, the faint scuttling noises that could be mice or something else entirely. Leo, too, began to experience things. He complained of his bedroom door creaking open at night, even after he'd wedged a chair under the handle. He'd hear soft footsteps in the hallway outside his room when everyone else was asleep. Once he woke up screaming, claiming someone had been standing at the foot of his bed, a small, shadowy figure that vanished when he cried out. David, though still trying to find rational explanations, was visibly concerned. He double-checked all the locks, searched the attic and basement for any signs of intruders or animals, but found nothing. Chloe decided to do some research on Mrs. Gable and the house's history. The local historical society had little on the house itself, but a friendly, elderly librarian recalled some vague stories about the Gables. "Agnes Gable lived there most of her life," the librarian said, adjusting her spectacles. "Her parents built the house. She never married, never had children of her own. A bit of a recluse in her later years, they say. But there was a tragedy long ago. Before Agnes was even born, I think. Her older siblings, 2 of them, I believe, died young. I think it was something terrible like that. Diphtheria or scarlet fever swept through back then. Children died young in the house." Children died young in the house. Chloe felt a wave of nausea. Could Mia's friends be the spirits of these long-lost children? The activity intensified, becoming less playful and more disruptive, almost demanding. Lights would flicker on and off. Cupboard doors would bang open and shut in the kitchen. Cold spots became more frequent and pronounced. The giggling Mia had once found endearing, now sounded eerie, almost mocking, and it wasn't just confined to her room anymore. David and Chloe would hear it echoing from empty hallways. One night, they were jolted awake by a series of loud thuds coming from Mia's room. They rushed in to find her sitting up in bed, crying, pointing at her closet. "They're angry," she sobbed. "They want to play, but I'm tired." The closet door was rattling violently as if something was desperately trying to get out. David, heart hammering, flung the door open. The closet was empty, clothes hanging undisturbed. But the air inside was freezing, and the distinct scent of old, damp earth filled the small space. They brought Mia into their bed that night, and Leo soon followed, too scared to stay in his own room. The four of them huddled together, listening to the unsettling sounds that echoed through the house. Faint whispers, soft thumps, and the occasional chilling giggle. Desperate, Chloe confided in a neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, a kind woman who had lived on Briarwood Lane for over 40 years. When Chloe recounted their experiences, Mrs. Peterson's usually cheerful face grew somber. "Ah, yes," she said softly. "The Gable children. Poor souls. Agnes rarely spoke of them, but the stories have persisted. They say their spirits never left the house, that they're forever looking for playmates." She paused. Agnes learned to live with them. She'd leave out old toys, talk to them. Perhaps that's what they want, acknowledgement. Chloe and David were torn. The idea of coexisting with child spirits was deeply unsettling, yet the thought of uprooting their family again was daunting. They decided to try Mrs. Peterson's suggestion. They found some of Mrs. Gable's old-fashioned toys in a dusty box in the attic. A wooden rocking horse, a set of porcelain dolls, some alphabet blocks. They placed them in Mia's room and in the upstairs hallway. Chloe began to speak to the unseen children, just as Mrs. Peterson had suggested Agnes Gable did. "Hello," she'd say gently when entering Mia's room. "I hope you're having a nice day. Mia can't play right now, but perhaps later." To their astonishment, the aggressive activity subsided. The giggles became softer, less frequent. The moving objects stopped. The house felt calmer, though not entirely empty. Mia, however, still talked about the children. She'd say they were happier now, that they liked the old toys. But sometimes she'd look at Chloe with an unnerving seriousness. "They want us to stay," she'd say, "forever." One afternoon, Chloe found Mia in the backyard near the old, gnarled apple tree at the far end of the property. Mia was digging in the dirt with a small trowel. "What are you doing, sweetie?" Chloe asked. Mia looked up, her face smudged with earth. "They showed me where they used to play. They buried their secrets here." She pointed to a spot beneath the tree. Curiosity overriding her unease, Chloe fetched a larger spade. As she dug, she unearthed a small, rotted wooden chest. Inside, wrapped in decaying linen, were two small, tarnished silver lockets, each engraved with a child's initial, E and T, Elizabeth and Thomas Gable, Agnes's lost siblings. There were also a few marbles, a tin soldier, and a child's faded drawing of a smiling family in front of their house, the house on Briarwood Lane. Holding the small treasures, Chloe felt an overwhelming sense of sadness. These weren't malevolent entities. They were just lost children, tethered to their former home, yearning for connection. They decided to create a small memorial for Elizabeth and Thomas in the rose garden, burying the chest with its contents beneath a newly planted rose bush. Mia helped, placing wildflowers on the freshly turned earth. After that day, the presence of the Gable children seemed to fade further, becoming a gentle, almost comforting whisper in the background of their lives. Mia still occasionally mentioned them, but with less frequency. Leo slept soundly in his own room again. David and Chloe never forgot that they shared their home on Briarwood Lane. They learned to live with the subtle reminders: a fleeting scent of roses in an empty room, the faint sound of a child's sigh on the wind. They had come seeking a house for their family, and in a way they had expanded it, embracing the sorrowful history and the lingering spirits of the children who had played there long ago. The laughter that now echoed through the house was primarily their own, but